Pokemon just released some new information about Pokémon Legends Arceus, and I have to say, I was definitely surprised. What we were shown definitely surpassed my expectations. Now granted, I had zero expectations, but hey, you know what? I'll give it to Game Freak. Their game has a chance to be pretty good. Maybe even worth $60. They still need to overcome some concerns that I and many others have stated when the first trailer came out. Also, while these new announcements have answered some of the community's questions, it has also introduced new ones. So right off the bat, we can see that the graphics have improved a bit. The main concern for me is that the rocks still look, I guess I can't say rough, mushy, there we go. And there are some environments that just look mushy overall. Something else I've noticed is that sometimes the lighting doesn't quite feel appropriate. The moon right here often doesn't light things up as much as the sun does. Now I know that's a given, but give me a moment. I'm not saying that everything in the night needs to be darker, because not only can things realistically be this bright, but then it would be hard to play while you were out traveling or whatnot. I mean, it is a Switch game. So I turned down the saturation and darkened only the mid so that I could get this sort of silhouette look. Now thankfully, Pokemon have unique silhouettes, so I think this would still work. Maybe it's personal preference, but I like this a lot more. Other than that, I think everything looks pretty passable, especially the water and sky. Man, that looks sweet. One last thing, can we please make Onix and Gyarados big? Like, you know, big enough to eat you whole? We've done it before, please. Maybe next time. The new Pokemon we're getting are also pretty solid. Stantler and Basculin have needed some attention for a while, so I'm pretty hyped about their evolutions. Out of these two, I'd say that I like Basculegion more. That Dex entry, am I right? However, Weirdeer is pretty awesome as well. Along with them are the new regional forms, Hisuian Braviary and Growlithe, who both look amazing. Braviary looks really cool, while Growlithe looks doofy and adorable. Would love to train these guys. And it will be so cool to do soaring again. Just gotta put more birds in the sky. When it comes to Hisui itself, it is definitely interesting. Compared to the original Sinnoh map, this is turned 45 degrees counterclockwise, so keep that in mind. Some of the first things you'll immediately notice is that in some places, the environment is completely different. Such as the bay on the east having a much more pronounced crescent shape, the giant tree in the San Jim Town Pal Park area, the north containing way more snow, and the region overall having way less trees. You'll also notice that Jubilife Village's location doesn't quite match the city's location. It seems to be quite a bit farther north actually. It almost leans more towards the Fuego Ironworks Eterna Forest territory, which also happens to have the old chateau. Very interesting. You can also see some camps right around maybe Solaceon or Celestic Town, and most definitely Snow Point City. Another thing is that this guy seems to be paddling towards either Iron, Full Moon, or New Moon Island, maybe all three, who knows. Man, I have to admit, speculating around this map is really fun. Expect to see some content creators poking around it a bit. There seems to be quite a few places to explore, but judging by the map, we've already seen a third of the major spots, if not more. Now, if all the clouds we see here are supposed to hint towards a bigger map than what is being shown, then I rest my case. Which it could, since the Iron, Full Moon, and New Moon Islands I referred to earlier is not shown to us. Unfortunately, these locations may end up being DLC later down the line, and it would barely soften the possible issue of the mainland having fairly sparse content. It doesn't help that many areas still feel a little dead. Finally, you do not have access to the entire region as soon as you start your journey, as it shows the player only being able to explore Jubilife Village and the Obsidian Fieldlands, which may be disappointing to some, but personally, I'm not terribly bothered by it. Also, holy smokes, these areas are huge! Imagine how hard a Nuzlocke would be. It looks like you might just be able to get 10-ish Pokemon. So that's gonna be interesting. Heck, new game, maybe new Nuzlocke rules, who knows? It seems like we may be going back to a mechanic that Gen 1 people may be familiar with. When they showed shopping and crafting, I couldn't help but notice that the amount of materials you had was split into two different categories. Presumably your bag and a box? Funny enough, that same icon shows up right next to your crafting icon at the top, and it looks like the player is going to access this menu via what is assumed to be a crafting bench. What I'm guessing is that this box is going to work a lot like the Gen 1 PC. In Gen 1, you could not only store Pokemon in a PC, but also items, by themselves. I imagine that when you use ZR to go to the box, you'll be able to switch between your Pokemon and item storage via L and R. Hopefully I'm correct, because that would be super convenient. When it was revealed that Pokemon could attack you, I had an...
Oh sh... What?
interesting reaction. How you catch and fight Pokemon sounds like something straight out of my wish list. Different Pokemon act differently when they see you, and you have to adjust your approach just to have a chance of capturing the Pokemon you want. And I think that's great. It adds a lot of variety and immersion in this game where capturing Pokemon is a main focus. Also, how they handled battling, I think, is a great compromise between real-time battling and how Pokemon usually works. If we went too far one way, it would have been a bit alienating for some fans, and too far the other way, it would have been somewhat boring to many. So what we got is the decision to land a hard and slow hit or a weak and fast hit. I've heard of that somewhere. I've been thinking of this battle style ever since I watched the Sinnoh Pokemon League in the anime, and I'm glad it's come to fruition. The Pokédex is what most of the gameplay seems to be centered around, and this time around it's a bit deeper than catch Pokemon. First you need to catch some, then you need to fulfill tasks in order to gain research levels, which I think should just be called research points, but whatever. When you get enough levels, which in Shinx's case is 10, you get all the info you need. Not gonna lie, at first I thought you had to do everything on this list, which would have been unnecessarily repetitive, but thankfully that's false. I quite like how this is set up. The tasks for doing research make sense, and you can do whichever the tasks you like, as long as you get enough levels. For registering forms, it seems to take gender into account because on form 1 of 2, it has the male symbol on the top right, so take that into account when trying to gain levels. Now, this whole system looks cool at first, but if they don't change up the type of tasks you can do for different Pokemon, this whole process is going to get pretty repetitive. Especially if you're trying to fill out the entire Pokédex, so I hope they can spice it up a bit. The story of this game still eludes us, and honestly, I prefer that. However, from the way they keep pointing at this tree and that it being stricken with lightning seems to somehow be connected with enraged Pokemon, I think it will play a role. How? I have not a single idea, but you know what, that's fine. At this point in time, I'm still wondering if this game is worth $60. I like the ideas, combat, and Pokemon, but I'm still unsure about several things. The world still feels empty, the Pokédex could become tedious, and I'm not confident in the story. Especially after Sword and Shield, holy crap. And also, my immersion! To be honest, I thought this presentation would close the book to my struggle with this game. I thought that I would be able to just let it pass me by when it released and I could just move on to another Switch game, just like the Diamond and Pearl remakes. But Legends Arceus is still tugging on my collar, and I find myself anticipating its release. I'm still pretty much in the same situation as I was before the presentation, so I guess I'll keep a watchful eye on this still. What do you think? I imagine most Pokemon fans will be picking it up, so what are you excited about the most? Put it in the comments section and I'll be sure to read it. Also, if you liked the video, drop a like. It lets me know I'm doing good. Thank you for watching and see you another time.